नमस्कार, जय हिंद। श्री मयांक सिंह ने आप लोगों को इतना मोटिवेट कर दिया पहले, तो मेरा काम और भी आसान हो गया है। मैं और मेरी पत्नी हम लोग आए थे यहाँ पर तीर्थ यात्रा करने के लिए, और लोग कहते हैं कि काशी की तीर्थ यात्रा करो तो पुण्य मिलता है। तो वो पुण्य एक वो है, और दूसरा मैं समझता हूँ कि अपना एक्सपीरियंस ख़ासकर यंगर जनरेशन को पास करना, वो भी एक पुण्य का काम है। तो मेरे लिए दो पुण्य के काम हो गए आज। एंड आई एम ग्रेटफुल टू श्री मयांक सिंह फॉर इनवाइटिंग मी एज पार्ट ऑफ हिज एफर्ट इन काशी मंथन। और एक और बात मैं कहना चाहता हूँ कि पहली बार मैं आया हूँ इन बनारस हिंदू यूनिवर्सिटी, बट आई हैव नोन अबाउट बनारस हिंदू यूनिवर्सिटी फॉर अ वेरी लॉन्ग टाइम। माय मैटरनल अंकल in 1947, 48, 49, he did his engineering from this university, maternal uncle. And that is the time हम लोग, जब ये इंडिया पाकिस्तान बना था, तो हमारी पूरी फैमिली अपनी जगह छोड़कर, नॉर्थ वेस्ट फ्रंटियर को छोड़कर, हम लोग यहाँ पर आज़ाद भारत में आके बस गए थे। So I'm glad to be here with you all, and the topic that I have chosen is, मैं समझता हूँ कि ये सबके लिए एक अच्छा टॉपिक है, चाहे छोटे हों या बड़े हों, और ख़ासकर इस समय जब हमारा देश जो है आगे बढ़ रहा है। मैंने ये नक्शा बनाया है और उसके बीच में कुछ डिटेल्स दी हैं, सिर्फ यही बताने के लिए कि हमारा एक देश जो है बहुत बड़ा देश है, बहुत पुराना देश है। हमारी जो हिस्ट्री, कल्चर जो है वो दुनिया में सबसे पुरानी मानी जाती है। अभी मयांक सिंह जी बता रहे थे भगवद गीता के बारे में और महाभारत के बारे में। सो यू लुक एट इट that we are progressing, हमारा एरिया, पॉपुलेशन, जीडीपी जो बढ़ रही है, और वर्कफोर्स, खासकर वर्कफोर्स इज़ द यंग पीपल, द यंगर जनरेशन। तो these are all positive signs of our country. Similarly, if you look at on the left side, I have indicated young age profile, rising literacy, middle class is exploding, is becoming larger and larger, which is again good for our country. Consumerism, markets से उससे finance भी हमारा बढ़ रहा है, और changing lifestyle that you can see, people are in all the big cities, their lifestyle is changing for the better. Slowly but gradually, the quality of life of every citizen is improving. And the last bit, I have mentioned unity in diversity. The diversity of India is well known to everybody. I don't think there is any country where if you travel about 250 or 300 kilometers, you will find a different cuisine, different dresses, different social activities. So that is the kind of diversity we have. But the real thing in that, which I want to emphasize, जब ये डाइवर्सिटी हम लोग एक यूनिटी करके काम करते हैं और एक दूसरे के साथ में आपस में कंपटीशन करते हैं सिर्फ इसलिए कि हम और आगे जाके, तो वो तो यूनिटी और उसकी जो कंपटीशन है वो अच्छी बात है। लेकिन जब वो डाइवर्सिटी में वो यूनिटी नहीं होती है, and we start fighting with each other, then there is a problem. And that has caused all the problems for our country from the time of, say, Mughals and then the British and all. They kept dividing us. So what I noticed today, gradually now we are all becoming closer to each other, thanks to media, thanks to other activities. So when there is binding of each other, of this diversity, then it's a very good weapon. Today that is the kind of a weapon that we have against all the other countries. But when we start thinking differently and start fighting with each other, whether at the political level or at the local level and all, and ethnic level, then you have a problem. So please remember that we have to stand together as far as India is concerned, as far as our nation is concerned. That is the most important part. And for that, the kind of opportunities that we have today, you require good leadership. The opportunities can be utilized only if we have good leaders particularly amongst our youth. Now, any organization today requires good human capital and development in science and technology. Whether it is war or business, these two things become very important. Human capital and technology. Today, if you start lagging behind in technology, you will not make progress. Similarly, in war also, human capital also, that is, you must train your organization and you must develop the human capital that you have got. And there are a few quotes that I have given. One is very famous in the army. हम आर्मी में कहते हैं कि the man behind the gun, और आजकल के दिनों में तो women behind the gun also, they have become important. And so gun जो है sophisticated जितनी भी बनाती जाए और हमें मिले, but it is the man or the woman behind the gun which matters. So that is something which we have to remember. So science and technology, development, all that is very important. But what is more important is the human mind and your human capital that I was saying. Similarly, there is a quote from one of the Chinese strategists, उसने बोला था, if you have good human capital, victory and rewards will follow. Now all this requires good leadership. Unless you develop leadership qualities, Mayank Singh ji was mentioning about the army. The difference between the army and other organization is that right from the time a person becomes a Lance Nayak or a Nayak, we start training him to become a leader. और वो जो ट्रेनिंग है वो चलती रहती है हर एक रैंक में, नायक, हवलदार, जेसीओ, लेफ्टिनेंट, कैप्टन, मेजर, वो कभी ख़त्म नहीं होती है लीडरशिप की ट्रेनिंग. एंड दैट इज़ व्हाट इज़ रिक्वायर्ड इन आवर ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस. जो भी आप कंपनी में काम करें, कहीं पर भी करें, यू हैव टू कीप ट्रेनिंग फॉर द नेक्स्ट जॉब. नाउ लीडरशिप के ऊपर बहुत लेक्चर, बहुत किताबें लिखी हुई हैं. मैं सिर्फ उसको सिंपल बनाने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ और मेरे 5 टेक्स हैं लीडरशिप के ऊपर. पहली बात तो ये है कि कुछ बेसिक्स होते हैं लीडरशिप के, वो बदलते नहीं हैं. मैं उसके बारे में जिक्र करूँगा. तो द बेसिक्स दे डू नॉट चेंज वेदर यू आर कमांडिंग 5 people or 5 million people. Those basics must be inculcated as early as possible in all of us. The second part, which might surprise you, leadership is 20% knowledge and 80% your attitude, how you deal with people. Now this is a result of a research done in Stanford University, USA, many years ago. Knowledge is important. Please don't take that knowledge is not important. But what is more important here is your attitude, because you have to create that trust between yourself and the others who have to follow you. Unless there is that trust, they will not follow you. So your attitude, how you deal with those people जो आपके साथ में काम कर रहे हैं, that is far more important than the knowledge. You will find that there are people from our villages who are not literate, if I can use that word. Yet they have that quality in them. They become sarpanch, they sometimes become good political leaders also. So that is what I was trying to get at. लीडरशिप की कई ट्रेट्स आप लोग पढ़ते होंगे, आप लोग सुनते होंगे, पर मैं समझता हूँ कि सबसे इम्पॉर्टेंट ट्रेट जो है, दैट इज़ कैरेक्टर. Now you'll ask me, what is character? Character is all that is good in you and also something which can be not so good in you. हर एक आदमी कुछ ना कुछ वो होता है, लेकिन अगर आपके बीच में वो जो इम्पॉर्टेंट ट्रेट्स हैं कैरेक्टर की, जैसे सिंसियरिटी है, इंटेग्रिटी है, ऑनेस्टी है, सच बोलने का जो है, ऐसी जो चीज़ें हैं, इफ़ दोज आर देयर इन यू, दैट इज़ व्हाट इज़ most important as far as leadership is concerned. We'll talk about this little later also. Fourth one is leadership. जब हम किसी को लीडर अपना मानते हैं तो that person stands for hope, that person stands for change which is going to take place, and that person, you all have hope that he will take you to success for achievement that you get. Now, leaders will not refuse challenges, they will accept challenges. And challenges also throw up some more leaders. So there is that relationship. And I think Mr. Mayank Singh said very rightly, he says कि challenges होते हैं पर leader उनसे घबराता नहीं है. I can tell you one thing, that during a war when the bullets are flying, everybody is scared. Anybody who says that he is not scared, I think he is not telling you the truth. So all of us were scared. But the difference is कि जो leader है वो दिखा नहीं सकता, क्योंकि उसको मालूम है कि मेरे लोग पीछे वो फॉलो नहीं करेंगे, वो मेरे साथ में बढ़ेंगे नहीं. अगर मैं खुद डर गया तो फिर क्या हुआ? So that is the difference. To say that I was not under stress will be absolutely wrong. To say that I was not, when you go to the front line, that you're not scared of your shelling or the bullets that are flying around, that will be wrong. But you can't tell anybody कि नहीं ये तो ठीक नहीं है, या that scare cannot be seen on your face at all. And this last thing that is important is leaders are, I don't believe that they are born leaders. Don't accept this कि so and so is a born leader. किसी फैमिली में पैदा हो गया तो इसलिए वो वहाँ पर वो आजकल राजा महाराजा और उनके पुत्र और उनकी पुत्रियाँ वो ज़माने गए अभी. Leaders, they are a result of hard work. They are a result of self-belief, having confidence, believing in yourself. They are also a result of opportunities that you get, and you make use of those opportunities. Opportunities सबको मिलती हैं, but if you don't make use of those opportunity, then you go wrong. So making use of those opportunities, and then you gain the experience. So that is what I am today. I was born in a middle class family. We became very poor after partition. And I had hardly anybody in the services. We didn't know much about it. But gradually we got to know. And you worked hard, and your aim was clear, okay, I'll keep on working hard. That is what has happened. It's not working. Slide. So after this, I want to highlight some of the important 3-4 important traits again, or what we believe are useful for leaders. Character values, again related. I believe that every individual must pay attention on these values, and every organization also must have its own ethics and values. The army, as Mayank Singh ji was saying, Naam, Namak, Nishan, these are the three most important things that we follow right from the time you join the army. So similarly, every organization also requires that. Now, there are a few aspects I will very briefly mention. One is self-discipline. I'm not talking of normal discipline, but I believe that in any organization, for every individual also, discipline is very important. Now, discipline does not mean कि सावधान खड़े होकर salute करना वो बड़ा अच्छा discipline है. That is not what we mean. What we mean here is that we are part of an organization, part of a society. If we all work in a disciplined manner, you achieve much more. But if you do not have that discipline and we start fighting with each other, we don't follow the rules that are there, you don't follow the red light or the green light on a crossing, you will end up in an accident. But if you follow those, then you will not have accident, and in fact the traffic will be much smoother. So that is what we mean by discipline. Can we go back on that? So I'll quickly cover this. Second is the integrity and moral courage. Integrity I have mentioned already. Moral courage, basically talking about honesty, etc. But moral courage is that as you grow senior in your as a leader, then you must not indulge in double speak. And I can give you many examples where I had to tell the Prime Minister, we were short of weapons and equipment during Kargil war. And one day in the press conference, I said that yes, there is a shortage, but we shall fight with whatever we have. Now, people who are responsible of getting us the weapons and equipment, they did not like that. And they went and told the Prime Minister, "Ke General Saab ko to ye theek nahi hai. It's not good for the government that why has he said that we have a shortage and we shall fight with whatever we have." So the Prime Minister asked me, and we were walking, and I told him, I said, "Sir, that is the truth. हम तो कई बार हम कह चुके हैं, आपको भी कह चुके हैं कि हमारे पास हथियार कम हैं और हथियार ठीक नहीं है, अभी बहुत उसमें शॉर्टेजेस हैं, और मेरे सारे जवान जानते हैं इस बात को, और अगर मैं कुछ और जवाब देता कि भाई ये ठीक नहीं है या हमारे पास है, हमारे पास हथियार, तो देन आई वुड हैव इंडल्ज्ड इन डबल स्पीक, कहने को कुछ और करने को कुछ और। मैंने कहा मैं पॉलिटिशियन नहीं हूँ, मैं फ़ौजी हूँ, सैनिक हूँ, और मैंने अपने जवानों से काम कराना है। अगर वो समझें कि मैं कहता कुछ हूँ करता कुछ हूँ तो वो मेरा कहना नहीं मानेंगे, तो इसलिए मैं इस चीज़ों में इंडल्ज नहीं करूँगा। आई टोल्ड हिम, आई सेड आई एम नॉट ए पॉलिटिशियन, आई एम ए सोल्जर एंड आई स्पीक what is the truth, and that has to be done because I want my men to follow. So I'm saying that these are important as you become a senior leader. Dedication, dynamism, quick responses, these become part of your traits as you pick up your rank. And a leader must be compassionate, must be caring. People who are working with you, you can't totally neglect them or not think of them. In fact, I'll come to the next slide, which is the credo that we learn in Indian Military Academy, and which says the safety, honor and welfare of your country comes first, always and every time. The honor, welfare and comfort of the men you command come next, and your own ease, comfort and safety comes last, always. So that is what we learnt, and even when I became an army chief, यही चीज़ मैंने लिखवा के एक बोर्ड के ऊपर रखी हुई थी अपने टेबल के सामने, और ऑल्सो इन द वेटिंग रूम जब लोग मुझे मिलने के लिए आते थे उनको भी देखने के लिए. So these are the kind of values that one has to learn, one has to practice, and to be able to go up. Can we shift the slide, because I think something is not working here. Okay, now hereafter I will start talking to you a bit about Kargil War, because Kargil War is a story of leadership at both junior level as well as a senior level. As Mayank Singh ji was mentioning that, well, we had a good Prime Minister with us and we had good leaders with us. So similarly, the soldiers who fought, they are also important, and those were the good leaders that we had. Next slide. Okay, this is a show the complete one. ये जम्मू और कश्मीर की स्लाइड है, एंड इसमें आप देखिए जो पर्पल लाइन है वो 740 किलोमीटर्स की लाइन ऑफ कंट्रोल जम्मू से शुरू होती है और सियाचिन ग्लेशियर तक जाती है. जो येलो लाइन है वो सियाचिन ग्लेशियर के अंदर की उस एरिया की लाइन है जो 1984 के बाद में इंडिया और पाकिस्तान ने, हमने वहाँ पर जब अपने काबू किया वो हिस्सा, तो उसमें, तो इसलिए वी कॉल इट एक्चुअल ग्राउंड पोजीशन लाइन, एंड दैट इज़ अबाउट 100. एंड सबसे पहला चैलेंज जो हमने फेस किया कि इंटेलिजेंस वालों ने हमको ये बोला कि ये तो जिहादीज़ हैं. लोकल भी जो वहाँ के थे, अपनी फ़ौज के भी जो जवान आगे थे, उन्होंने भी यही बोला कि ये काली कमीज़ और काली सलवार पहन के जो आए हैं, दीज आर ऑल मुजाहिदीन, जिहादीज़ हैं. उन्होंने इन्फिल्ट्रेशन किया है, और वो इन्फिल्ट्रेशन तो आपको मालूम है कि कश्मीर में कई सालों से 1989 के बाद से हो रही थी. सो दैट वाज आवर बिग चैलेंज कि ये हैं कौन और क्यों यहाँ पर इतने ऐसे आए हैं. ये कुछ फ़ोटोग्राफ्स हैं, एक्चुअल फ़ोटोग्राफ उस एरिया की जहाँ पर फाइटिंग हुई थी, सियाचिन. जब हम लोग विंटर के अंदर पेट्रोलिंग करते हैं तो इस तरीके से जाना पड़ता है, एक दूसरे को बांध के रस्सी के साथ में, अगर कोई गिर भी जाए ताकि हम उसको उठा सकें, वहाँ से निकाल सकें. दीज आर एक्चुअल फोटोग्राफ्स. दिस इज़ अ पेट्रोल. तैयार होकर जाना पड़ता है कि आप 3-4 दिन के बाद में एक जगह पर गए तो वहाँ पर आपने एक अचानक क्रिवेस मिल गई, और उसके बीच में लोग कई बार गिर जाते हैं और कई फीट नीचे गए तो उनको उठाना पड़ता है, निकालना पड़ता है. तो ये हर एक तैयारी करके जाते हैं. हेलीपैड जब बनाने होते हैं वहाँ पर किसी एरिया में, तो इस तरीके से हम लोग एक छोटा सा हेलीपैड, उसके ऊपर पैराशूट, सफ़ेद पैराशूट डाल के, और उस एरिया के अंदर जो हम लोग सामग्री लेके जाते हैं हेलीकॉप्टर में, वो हेलीकॉप्टर सिर्फ 1/4 हिस्सा ही लेके जा सकता है. अगर वेट एक हेलीकॉप्टर उठा सकता है 100 kg, तो वो उस एरिया के अंदर आप सिर्फ 25 kg ही उठा पाएंगे बिकॉज ऑफ हाई ऑल्टीट्यूड. अगेन दिस इज़ फ्रॉम कारगिल एरिया. So this is all, these photographs were taken during that period only, Kargil लड़ाई के वक़्त. This is that famous Tiger Hill. How many of you have been to Ladakh? Or not many people. So I would recommend all the younger people, particularly, you get an opportunity, you must go there. It is part of our country. You better get to know that part of the country, and also get to know where some of our brothers, they went and fought for the country. This is another area, Batalik sector hai, and you can see the height. And this photograph was taken on 14th May 99, and this is a line. मैंने ये नक्शे फ़ोटो के ऊपर लाइन खींची है, ज़मीन के ऊपर आप नहीं देख सकते, कोई लाइन नहीं होती है. जस्ट टू लेट यू नो कि दिस इज़ हाउ समटाइम्स वी डिड गो अक्रॉस, समटाइम द हेलीकॉप्टर्स आल्सो वुड गो अक्रॉस, और पता नहीं चलता है कई बार. उस वक्त हमारे पास इतने अच्छे GPS भी नहीं होते थे. इनफैक्ट देयर वर हार्डली एनी GPS विद इन्फेंट्री. सो द चैलेंजेस वर मैनी. टेरेन का चैलेंज, यू कैन सी दैट फ्रॉम द फोटोग्राफ. Mountainous, high altitude, glaciated. Intelligence failure, because no intelligence organization told us that, in fact we were told that Pakistan is not in a fit position to wage a war. That was what we were told, and we had absolutely no. And जो हमने बार बार उनसे पूछा भी तो जवाब यही मिला कि ये तो जिहादी लोग हैं. ना जिहादी लोग जो हैं कश्मीर के अंदर, हम लोग उनसे लड़ रहे हैं तो उसके लिए रूल्स ऑफ एंगेजमेंट हमारे अलग होते हैं, और जो दुश्मन होता है उसके लिए रूल्स ऑफ एंगेजमेंट हमारे अलग होते हैं. सो दैट इज़ व्हाट वाज ए बिग चैलेंज. सर्वेलेंस फेलियर, बिकॉज ऑफ विंटर कंडीशंस पेट्रोलिंग इतनी नहीं हो सकती थी, कई जगह के ऊपर पेट्रोल नहीं जा पाए, और हेलीकॉप्टर से अगर ये कोशिश की गई देखने के लिए नीचे तो वो उस हालात में यू कांट सी वेरी वेल as to what is. Nobody got a hint at the infiltration, and gaps between the posts were 30 kilometers, 40 kilometers. So any determined enemy can come through that area during winter. Serious shortage in weapons, ammunition and equipment. ये मैंने आपको बता ही दिया है इसके बारे में. Due to nuclear weapon test 1998, तो दुनिया में हम लोगों को समझते थे कि ये इंडिया तो रोग कंट्री है, क्योंकि हमने दुनिया की, खासकर यूनाइटेड नेशंस सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल के जो मेंबर थे उनसे, वी कैरिड आउट द स्ट्रेस विदाउट टेलिंग एनीबडी, एंड वी हैड नो relationship, defense relationship at that time with USA or UK or any of these. So they never gave us any support, and we were termed as a rogue nation. And lastly, हमारे प्राइम मिनिस्टर कोई 2 महीने पहले फरवरी 1999 में गए थे लाहौर, और वहाँ पर उनके साथ में एग्रीमेंट करके साइन करके आए थे कि हम आगे से थोड़ा रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी के साथ में अपना काम एक दूसरे के साथ में रिलेशन करेंगे, एंड वी विल रिजॉल्व ऑल आवर डिफरेंसेस थ्रू पीसफुल मीन्स. लाहौर डिक्लेरेशन जिसको बोलते हैं. सो वो लाहौर डिक्लेरेशन के बाद में उधर तो उन्होंने ये काम किया, और पाकिस्तान के अपनी फ़ौज ने अपने प्राइम मिनिस्टर को भी ठीक तरीके से नहीं बताया, एंड दे स्टार्टेड दैट वॉर. So in all human endeavors, this is what I always say, you will have some reverses, you will fall down sometimes, but the leadership and a good person requires that he must be able to stand up. That is important. So when you falter, when you make a mistake, when you fall down, you must have the capacity to get up. That is again as good a part of leadership as I said, कि डरना आप दिखा नहीं सकते हो, गिर के आपको हर हालत में उठना है और सबको साथ में लेके जाना है. Now this is at the senior level. Grand strategy में अपने प्राइम मिनिस्टर के साथ में एक CCS बोलते हैं हम, कैबिनेट कमेटी ऑफ सिक्योरिटी, दे गेव द ऑर्डर्स, और उन्होंने हमको बोला कि आप इनको यहाँ से खदेड़िए और उनको पीछे फेंकिए, और ये भी साथ में बोला कि इंडिया विल नॉट क्रॉस द लाइन ऑफ कंट्रोल. क्यों? क्योंकि पहले ही पूरे दुनिया हमारे अगेंस्ट चल रही थी बिकॉज ऑफ न्यूक्लियर वेपन्स. सो वन ऑफ द थिंग दैट दे सेड वाज, थैंक यू, you will not cross the line of control. And it was a difficult order because लड़ाई में अगर आपके पास स्पेस नहीं है तो आपका एक हाथ जो है वो पीछे बंध जाता है. So that was the condition that we faced at that time. Aim is very clear. Aim is very important. I think this also you heard. You must have a very clear aim कि हमको करना क्या है, और वो जो लक्ष्य है आपका, अभी इसके बीच में हमारा लक्ष्य सीधा था कि हमने उनको हर हालत में यहाँ से खड़ेद कर पीछे फेंकना है, चाहे कुछ भी हो जाए. Now that aim you have to also explain to your people in a simple language. एक कोई दूसरा जनरल है, उसके साथ में मेरी लैंग्वेज अलग होगी इसी बात को कहने के लिए. पर जब मैं एक जवान को जाता हूँ बात करने के लिए, या एक एनसीओ को जाता हूँ जो इतना पढ़ा लिखा नहीं है इन चीज़ों के बारे में, तो मेरी लैंग्वेज है वो कुछ थोड़ा सा फ़र्क होगी, लेकिन समझाना ये है कि ये हमारा मुद्दा है और ये हमने हर हालत में करना है. So we worked out a strategy at the level of three chiefs, Army, Navy and Air Force के हम तीनों ने, कि वो जो political aim हमको दिया था उसको implement करने के लिए. And this is how I explained. जहाँ जहाँ पर मैं गया तो वहाँ पर लोगों को सैनिक सम्मेलन लिए और उनको मैंने अपनी तरफ से यही बोला कि देखो दुश्मन has started this fight and they have fired the first shot, but the last shot will be fired by us. We will do it and the war will end on our terms. I don't know whether we can see Major Nagyal in that photograph. Okay, so his then boss is standing on the right side, on my right side. So that is what is important. As this, you explain your aim and you make it very clear in a very determined language that look, we have to do this and this is how we will do that. So we worked out our strategy, and the most important part of that strategy was कि दुश्मन को ऐसा हिलाना है कि वो उसका थोड़ा अनस्टेबल सा हो जाए और वो कारगिल एरिया में अपने फिर फोर्सेस को ज़्यादा स्ट्रांग नहीं बना पाए. सो द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग वाज थ्रेटन एंड मेंटेन प्रेशर ऑन पाकिस्तान थ्रू आउट लैंड, एयर एंड सी एंड क्रिएट दैट स्ट्रेटेजिक इम्बैलेंस फॉर पाकिस्तान. If necessary, be prepared to escalate the situation and launch. ये भी हमको कहा गया था कि आप लाइन ऑफ कंट्रोल क्रॉस नहीं करेंगे. But while that we had to follow, but it was creating a little bit of a problem. So one day I found that our Prime Minister, he spoke a couple of times in public and he said that I have told the armed forces कि आप लोग लाइन ऑफ कंट्रोल नहीं क्रॉस करोगे. 2-3 बार उन्होंने बोला. तो एक दफ़ा मैं उनके पास गया, आई थिंक द 2nd of July or so, 2nd of June. तो आई वेंट टू हिम, आई सेड सर प्लीज़ डोंट मेक दैट स्टेटमेंट अगेन. तो वाजपेयी जी शांत आदमी थे, एंड मेरे से क्यों, क्या बात है. मैंने कहा सर आप ये मत बोलिए. आई टोल्ड हिम, आई सेड दैट सपोज we cannot undo what has happened to us in Kargil, then I will have no alternative except to cross the line of control or even international border somewhere else. तो अगर वो ऐसे हालात बन गए तो मैं आपके पास आऊँगा और मैं आपको बोलूँगा कि मैंने तो जाना है परली तरफ और उस एरिया में जाना है, तो फिर आपका जवाब क्या होगा. He didn't say anything, he kept quiet. और हम लोग चलते गए. शाम को उन्होंने श्री ब्रिजेश मिश्रा जो उस वक्त नेशनल सिक्योरिटी एडवाइज़र थे, उनको एक प्रोग्राम में, टीवी प्रोग्राम में भेजा. तो ब्रिजेश मिश्रा जी ने वहाँ पर बोला कि वी विल नॉट क्रॉस द लाइन ऑफ कंट्रोल और बॉर्डर, दैट होल्ड्स गुड टुडे, वी डोंट नो अबाउट टुमारो. सो पाकिस्तान गॉट इट्स मैसेज कि वी आर prepared for anything. And now I am explaining to you very briefly on a graph as to what we did actually on the ground. This is what happened in Kargil sector. And this is the way we put our forces on the border. आप देखेंगे जो blue lines हैं, those are the army. You will also see the air force. You will also see the navy in the Bay of in the Arabian Sea. And we moved some troops from Bay of Bengal into this area, and some troops from Andaman Nicobar also, they were moved on this front to give an impression to Pakistanis that we will not leave you now. We will get hold of you, whatever we may have to do. So this was the strategy, as I have put it on graphic, and we had deployed our troops like this. And that is what made Nawaz Sharif run first to China, seeking help, which the Chinese did not give. And then after some time, he begged for a meeting with Bill Clinton, President of USA, on 4th of July, which is supposed to be Independent Day of USA. He went there, again begging कि हमारा पीछा छुड़वाओ और हम कुछ भी करने के लिए तैयार हैं, बट यहाँ से हमको हटवाओ. So a lot of things happened, so much of ammunition which had to be used. You know, all this goes. It's not just on the graph that I have put it, graphically I have put it, but there is so much of ammunition to be put, so many military special trains. You can imagine that 19,000 tons of ammunition had to be moved to the western border, and 446 military specials trained had to be moved at night. Most of them moved at night, so that the rest of the services, rail services, are not disturbed, and Pakistan doesn't get to know about the movement of these troops. Similarly, the Air Force, they got ready, they started moving, helping us there in that, and similarly the movement of the Navy, I have told you, from Bay of Bengal to Arabian Sea. And we started chasing their ships also, all the way from Dubai and other places where they were bringing oil tankers. We started chasing them. Now, we talk of planning and we talk of implementation. My experience is planning is important, but what is more important is the implementation. And that is why I have put this quote, action is more important. प्लान करके छोड़ देना कि बस हो जाएगा, वो नहीं होगा. You have to see through that plan, और उसके प्लान में जब आप इम्प्लीमेंट करते हैं तो उसके बीच में कुछ ना कुछ आ जाती है, कमियां आती हैं, कभी आपको उसको एडजस्ट करना पड़ता है, कभी आपको वो करना पड़ता है. That is important. You have to keep that in mind. And I have given a quote from Bhagavad Gita again, which is on action, and which says, all actions without exception culminate in knowledge. Knowledge and action both lead to supreme bliss. However, action is superior to knowledge. This is what I meant. Knowledge is important, but usko theek karna. And so never hesitate from action. That is what an implementation test of a plan is how it ends, never how it begins. So you have to see through your plan all the way. It took us little more than 2 months during Kargil war. But till the end, we kept on fighting. You'll be surprised, on 26th of July, we declared that now we have done the job given to us by the government. And till 23rd of July, we were acting and making sure that not an inch of our land is held by them anymore. एक दो बार उस वक्त इलेक्शन भी होने वाले थे, because we had an interim government. The Prime Minister asked me कि आप लोग बता नहीं रहे हैं कि कब ख़त्म हो गया. मैंने कहा सर, जब तक लास्ट में हम लोग नहीं काम कर लेते तो मैं आपको ये नहीं कहूँगा कि लड़ाई ख़त्म हो गई है. Now, we all have to develop communication skills. And when we are talking of development of communication skills, we are not talking of good English or good Hindi or good language. You have to have a complete, body language आपको develop करनी चाहिए. Because you have to, the best person from whom I learned communication skills, you'll be surprised, was Field Marshal Manekshaw. वो एक सिपाही से जब बात करते थे तो इंटीमेट रिलेशन हो जाता था एकदम। और मैंने उनके साथ में ये भी देखा कि ही यूज्ड टू टॉक टू द किंग्स, अगेन ही यूज्ड टू डेवलप ए गुड रिलेशन। Now his good relations with the Prime Minister, our own Prime Minister, Indira Gandhi, during 1971 war, a lot of people, keep talking about it, but he had that personal relationship with. So that is, communication is all part of that. So communication is not just being able to stand up and giving a lecture. You really have to look into the eyes of the other person. You have to make sure that that other person, and you have to speak at the level of the other person. जूनियर लीडर्स और सीनियर लीडर्स। सीनियर लीडर्स का काम है कि वो जो जिस दायरे में आप काम कर रहे हो उस दायरे को बढ़ाते जाना, ताकि द जूनियर लीडर्स को और थोड़ा मौका मिले काम करने का। जूनियर लीडर्स का काम है कि जो आपको सीनियर लीडर्स ने काम किया है उसको इम्प्लीमेंट करना, उसको देखते जाना। सो आई नेवर इंटरफेयर्ड इन द planning of and the execution of our junior commanders. I went there to Kargil every 6th day. हर 6 दिन के बाद में मैं जाता था, लेकिन कभी मैंने उनके प्लानिंग के बीच में ज़्यादा गड़बड़ कभी नहीं करने दी, ना किसी को करने दी, और उन्हीं के ऊपर काम छोड़ा हुआ था और उन्होंने काम किया। कहीं पर छोटी मोटी गलतियाँ भी हुई, लेकिन फिर भी वो ठीक कर दिया है। So too much of interference in our junior leaders is not desirable, but as a senior leader, you have to keep monitoring कि काम ठीक हो रहा है या नहीं है. And that was the reason why I went every 6th day to the front. एक बात जो है, जब मेरे से लोग पूछते हैं कि आपने कारगिल की लड़ाई जीती, तो मैं कभी भी नहीं उस चीज़ को मानता हूँ। लड़ाई मैंने नहीं जीती है। लड़ाई जीतने वाले जो हैं वो सोल्जर्स ऑन द ग्राउंड हैं। दे आर द वंस। कई लोग अभी MBA करेंगे, बिजनेस करेंगे, तो वो मैं उनको यही कहता हूँ कि देखो, आपको जो पैसा लाने वाला, जो रेवेन्यू लाने वाले हैं, दे आर द फ्रंट लाइन सोल्जर्स, जो आगे वाले मैनेजर्स हैं। एक बैंक है, बैंक का हेड ऑफिस हो सकता है बॉम्बे में, पर उनको बिजनेस कहाँ मिलता है? एट द लेवल ऑफ द स्मॉल बैंक्स, एट द लोअर, एट द सिटीज एंड ऑल. So those are the important people, and you have to look after them. Don't think that you are sitting in a air-conditioned office in Bombay, Calcutta, Delhi, and no, that's not good enough. Army के अंदर again ये है, a visit to the ground is equal to 1000 on the map. ये भी हमको सिखाया गया था जब हम ट्रेनिंग कर रहे थे कि नक्शे के ऊपर आप 1000 बार देख लो, लेकिन एक विज़िट ग्राउंड के ऊपर जाके जो होती है उसकी वैल्यू बहुत ज़्यादा होती है. सो यू हैव टू गो टू द ग्राउंड टू सी कि क्या हो रहा है वहाँ पर. Team spirit is always important in an organization. Unless you have the team spirit, you trust each other. And this is a photograph of the air chief and I. We were visiting each other's unit also. Can we go back and up? Can you put on the helicopter के ऊपर आप एक दफ़ा प्रेस करेंगे? Sound.
If Indian choppers can fly freely today over the Tololing Ridge, carrying crucial supplies to the men stationed on top, it's at least partly because of the bravery of Captain Vikram Batra. On the night of 19th June, Captain Batra led the final attack onto point 5140, the most hostile and challenging mountain peak on the Tololing Ridge. The recapturing of 5140 opened the way for the final assault on Tiger Hills. We met Captain Batra, or Sher Shah as he was called by his men, when he was just getting ready for his next mission.
We had already decided our success signal before advancing for the attack, and it was like Bravo Company's success signal, Oi Aya, and which was passed to our CO Colonel Joshi on the radio set. And after the another bunker was captured, my company's success signal was "Ye dil mange more." The guys were so highly charged up that they're wanting that some more bunkers should have been there, and we would have got the more chaps.
I've shown leadership at a lower level. कैप्टन बत्रा 24 या 25 साल की उम्र थी और कैप्टन से 6-7 साल की सर्विस होगी उस वक्त. But look at the image that you get. Look at the confidence that you see in him. Now that is the kind of confidence that you have to develop in your leaders at the junior level. He never said anything about himself. He said, "Hamare aadmi." He never used the word I. He always said, "We, my people." So that is the kind of leadership, and it can be developed. It is not something that doesn't happen. It happens. It has happened amongst us. So whichever organization that you join, please remember that this is possible. This kind of a leadership is possible. And that is what Vikram Batra has inspired amongst our people. Now there is a letter from one of the soldiers, a major, to his family. And I'm going to read out that letter. Major Acharya, he writes on 19th of June 1999, "Dear Papa, hope this letter finds you in the best of health and spirits. Thanks for your letter and greeting card that the father had sent, dated 14th June. We must understand," he's talking of his brother now, "he would also be quite busy preparing for their share of the game. The brother was in the army. We are already getting ready for our next task. Our unit now has to live up to the higher expectations of the army as well as well-wishers. You know what? Even the chief sent a letter of congratulations to the unit. His unit, 2nd Rajrif, they had captured Tololing. That was the first major objective which we captured. We lost a lot of people, but it was captured. So he's talking about that. And I had sent a personal letter to the commanding officer saying, "Convey my appreciation and my compliments to all Jawans of your unit." So he's referring to that. "It was an honor for our unit to have been given such a task. Hard work and a sound ethos does have its merit, don't you think? We now have to work harder to preserve the hopes and aspirations of our well-wishers. Don't worry about casualties. It's a professional hazard which is beyond our control, so why worry? At least it's for a good cause." And again, he is now quoting Bhagavad Gita, where, Lord Krishna briefing Arjun says that if you do the righteous work, if you do the right kind of work, then even if you die, you will go to heaven. That's what is written in that. No, we are not air maintained. Food is good. We have a doctor. Yes, the Prime Minister's Kargil visit was a good motivation. Just 2-3 days earlier, Prime Minister, I had also accompanied him. We had gone to that area. And then he says, yes, the Prime Minister's Kargil visit was a good motivation. And he says, good chap. He's talking about the Prime Minister now. I am quite a sight now with an unkempt beard and Vaseline cream all over my ugly face to counter the icy winds. Please tell Mother that a combat is an honor of a lifetime and I would not think of anything less. What better way to serve the nation? I am proud to be in the infantry, especially in the battalion. Take care of your health as well as of mom. Don't worry and lose sleep. Tell a story a day of the Mahabharata to Charu, so that your grandchild imbibes good values. Yours affectionately, Bablu. Charu was his wife, and talking about the child which was born, unfortunately, after we lost Major Acharya. But again, I just wanted to, this is the spirit that we had amongst the officers. And here is a letter from the Jawan. During the war, we have an organization called Army Wives Welfare Association, which is headed by the chief's wife, ex officio. And so they had decided to send sweets to these people. Yeah. Before that, this is another letter. Just go back. Go back, please. Next. Next. Stop here. Now, this is another letter. Before I go to that Jawan's letter, this is letter written by somebody from Lucknow. I don't know how many of you know the name. Manoj Pandey. Right. Manoj Pandey came from a very simple, I would call it lower middle class family. But they had their values, they had their ethics. He was a hard-working boy. He went to NDA and then he became a captain in one of the very famous battalions. And this is the last letter that he wrote to his friend. And I got hold of that letter. Now, rest of the letter, I'm not going to mention anything about it, well written. But what impressed me was this line, I don't know what will happen in the next moment, but I can assure you and all countrymen that certainly we will push back the intruders at whatever cost. 22 years old boy, young captain. He has that spirit in him when he is fighting, when he is leading his men. This is India. This is possible. These are the boys that we have in our own country. And the last one I wanted to read was this Jawan's letter, which he wrote to Army Wives Welfare Association when Army Wives Welfare Association decided to send sweets to the forward troops. They just one day decided, my wife was the chairperson at that time, that we will send sweets to the soldiers who are fighting in front. And when the sweets went there, so many people from there responded. But I picked up one letter in which a Jawan, he writes, he doesn't know कि कहाँ से आई है. He says, my dear Awa, क्योंकि सिर्फ AWWA की तरफ से गई थी. आपके प्रिय सैनिक भाइयों की तरफ से नमस्कार. हम भारत माता की सीमा पर राजी खुशी से रहते हुए ईश्वर से आपके खुश रहने की कामनाएं करते हैं. हम यहाँ पर देश की रक्षा कर रहे हैं. हमें आपकी भेजी हुई आवा की मिठाई मिली. हमने और हमारे सैनिक भाइयों ने मिठाई खाई. मिठाई खाते हुए हमें काफ़ी जोश आता है. आप इसी प्रकार मिठाई भेजते रहो तो हम लाहौर तो क्या इस्लामाबाद भी पहुँच जाएंगे. आप लोग निर्भय होकर रहो. हम आपकी व अपने देश की रक्षा करेंगे. जब तक हम LOC क्रॉस नहीं करते तब तक हम चैन की सांस नहीं ले पाएंगे. हम उनको ऐसा सबक सिखाएंगे कि उनको सपने में भी याद आएगा कि इंडिया और इंडियन आर्मी क्या चीज़ है. भाइयों व बहनों, तुम खुश रहो. हमारी तरफ से तुम्हारी खुश रहने की कामनाएं करते हैं. आपका पत्र मिलता है, आपको पत्र मिलता है तो पत्र में पूरा एड्रेस देना. हमारे से जो भी गलती हुई हो तो छोटा भाई समझकर क्षमा करना. आपका सैनिक सुनील. एक जवान, मुश्किल से 5 साल या 6 साल की सर्विस. स्पिरिट देख लीजिए आप उसकी. Motivation is important, and for that motivation, writing a letter or even, trying to किसी को थोड़ा सा benefit दे देना, material benefit देना is not really good enough. Motivation is generally face to face. When you go and talk to a person, you should be able to motivate. And as I said, I went to the front area every 6th day, not to check कि क्या हो रहा है, but also to motivate people. To make sure that people are. करता क्या था? I used to ask them कि सब ठीक है, कोई चीज़ चाहिए, चिट्ठी आ रही है, घर से कब बात हुई थी, कोई चीज़ की कमी तो नहीं है, क्या मैं आपके लिए क्या कर सकता हूँ, all that. So that is, that face-to-face motivation is always important. Yes, in South Block, Delhi में जहाँ पर मैं काम करता था उस वक़्त, तो मेरे साथ में नेताजी कई होते थे और कई अपने अफसर भी होते थे, लंबे लंबे चेहरे उनके कि जनरल साहब क्या होगा, हम कर पाएंगे नहीं कर पाएंगे, इसके ऊपर जीत कर, all those doubts were there and there. And every time any political leader met me, he would ask me, General Sahab, I hope we will be able to do this thing that has been. So those are the kind of doubts. But every time I went to the front line, when I was amongst the soldiers, they are the people who raised my morale. They never said we can't do it or it is difficult. They will always say, no sir, don't worry, hum karenge. You don't worry, sir. So for me, I got motivated not from so many people in Delhi, but I got more motivated by people on the front line. Those are the people who were, including then Major Nagyal, who was sitting here. These are, Pakistan left so many dead bodies behind. थोड़े से तो वो लेके गए जब हमने उनको बोला, but more than 200 bodies they left behind, and we cremated them. We did this thing. This is a photograph where they came to pick up their bodies and we gave it to them with full military honors. But more than 200 bodies we buried them on our land. This is what Benazir Bhutto then spoke about Pakistan Army. You can read it. The biggest blunder committed in the history of Pakistan. It has given the people of Pakistan a sense of humiliation and disgrace because they were forced to withdraw in the face of, she says, international isolation, but international people also agreed with us only because we were really pushing them hard on the ground. So, the Vijay was there because everybody worked together. The motivation was high, the spirit was high, and as I said, there was courage, there was commitment, there was determination, and there was leading from the front. The senior people, they encouraged people, they showed their own determination, and the junior people, they were leading from the front. Sound. This is a quote from Rig Veda. And when you are working together, if you work together like this, you will win all wars that come in front of us. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.